Theories from the internet that's going to expand your perspective. Let's just start.
I have this sense that there are very powerful secret societies operating today, and we don't really know or understand them. And the conspiracy theories in spirit might have something to them, but are actually factually not correct. So, like, an effective, powerful secret society or intelligence agency is not going to let you know anything that it doesn't want you to know, right?
They'll probably mislead you if you get that
Mislead.
close. So I think, the question is, what's the most powerful or important secret society? Probably the one you don't know about. One that doesn't advertise its existence. The one which is never known anywhere under its real name. You've got things like the Bohemian Club. You've got the Bilderbergers, which is another sort of, formed in the 1950s. Largely the creation of a guy by the name of Josef Rettinger. Polish, mysterious, appears out of nowhere, a schemer for years. A man expelled from Britain, France, and the United States at one point or another. Long active in the Mexican labor movement. Okay. Rettinger is a mysterious figure. In fact, I think there was even a book written about him called Eminence Grise, Gray Eminence. The fellow who was the front man for the Bilderbergers was Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, who was at one point a Nazi and then a Dutch freedom fighter. All right, take your pick. But Rettinger is the moving hand behind the whole thing, and I'll be damned if I can figure out who Rettinger is. So the idea is that, you get like influential people in media, business, politics, and you bring them together just to talk, to try to find common answers or common questions. It's all very much sort of Western Europe, Anglo-European. I mean, it's all very closely sort of connected to NATO. The whole concept of a kind of Atlanticist world, which is essentially the Anglo-American combined with Western Europe. But you got a bunch of these things. I mean, the Council on Foreign Relations is very similar to that, and the Bilderbergers, and there's an overlap with the Bohemian Club, and then you've got the Pinay Circle, or Le Cercle, which is more military, but also linked to the so-called secret Gladio. The idea if the Soviets overran Western Europe, there would be a stay-behind organization called Gladio. There'd be these freedom fighters. So the question I have about that is that how many secret organizations do you need? I mean, why all these separate groups, which often seem to have the same people into them?
Yeah, the closer I look, the more I wonder the same question we asked about the Russian intelligence agencies is where's the center of power? It seems to be very hard to figure out. Does the secrecy scare you?
Well, I guess on one level, I'm comforted that there's somebody actually making decisions. As opposed to, I mean, what do you want? Do you want chaos, or do you want everything kind of rigidly controlled? And I don't put much stock in the idea that there actually is some small group of people running everything, because if they were, it would operate more efficiently. I do think that there are various disparate groups of people who think that they're running things, or try to. And that's what concerns me more than anything else. Well, I hate to go back to them again, because after bringing up, you go back to the Nazis. They had their whole idea about a new world order, and they only had 12 years to do it, and look what a mess they made. I mean, look at the damage, the physical damage that can be done by an idea inspiring a relatively small group of people controlling a nation based upon some sort of racial or ideological fantasy that has no real basis in reality and yet guides their actions. It's this differentiation that I always make, and I would try to get across to students, between always be clear about what you know and what you believe. You don't know many things. you know your name, you know when you were born, you probably know who your father is, but that's not absolute unless you've had a DNA test, and only if you trust DNA tests. So, you know who your mother is. You believe this man is your father. Why? Because your mother told you he was. So you believe things generally because someone has told you this is to be true, but you don't really know for sure. Well, because we know so little, we tend to go by beliefs. So we believe in this, or we believe in that. You know, you believe that your cult leader is the answer to everything, and it seems to be very, very easy to get people to believe things. And then what happens is that whether or not those beliefs have any real basis in reality, they begin to influence your actions. So here again, regrettably in some ways to bring it back to the Nazis, what were the Nazis convinced of? They were convinced that Jews were basically evil aliens. That's what it comes down to. They weren't really humans. There's some sort of evil contamination which we must eradicate. And they set out to do that.
And then they were sure that there's just a few problems that can be solved, and once you solve them, that you have this beautiful utopia where everything would be just perfect. It would be great, and we can just get there. And I think this really strong belief in a global utopia, it just never goes right. It seems like impossible to know the truth in it.
For some reason, not long ago, I was listening on YouTube to old wobbly songs. You know, internet.
Right.
The Workers of the World. I don't know why. I didn't know there was a whole album of wobbly songs. Mm-hmm. But, and there was one of them called Commonwealth of Toil. And like most of them, they're sort of taken from gospel songs. And it's talking about in the future, you know, how wonderful everything will be in the commonwealth of toil that will be. And now these are, you know, revolutionary leftists, in this case, wobblies, but nonetheless, it's like a prayer for communism. Everything now in the future, everything will be good because the earth will be shared by the toilers, and you know, from each his abilities to each according to his need. And it's this kind of sweet little song in some way. But I'm just sort of imagining this. You know, if I was going to stage that, I'd have like this choir of children singing it with a huge hammer and sickle behind them. Because that's what it's combining. And you can think that the sentiments that are expressed in that song, which, you know, are legitimate in some way, of all the horrors that then leads to.
It is fascinating about humans. A beautiful idea on paper, an innocent little idea about a utopian future can lead to so much suffering and so much destruction and the unintended consequences that you see described.
Law of unintended consequences.
And we learn from it. I mean, that's why history is important. We learn from it. Hopefully.
Do we?
Slowly. We're slow learners.
I'm unconvinced of that, but perhaps it's...
I've come to the end of the video. I think you should suggest the next video we should react to or we should learn from, and I'll be glad to do that. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post you will be the first to get it. Adios amigos. Bye.